Okay, we're back at the fourth dimension with part 9 of Roland Tuska. It's a Sunday, beautiful day here on the south coast of New South Wales, and we're just going to wait for Roland to come on board. There's been a series of other challenges this morning with projects not aligning with our normal earlier chat time, but it's going to be good to get this one done. Roland and I have been talking offline quite a lot about a range of issues. And I guess just while we're waiting for Roland to come on to kind of ground this episode in time. It's been a busy week in the news cycle. We've had, unfortunately, very tragically, a couple of police officers killed in Victoria. There's a person that is now suspected of shooting them as part of a major manhunt, and they're calling him the Porapunka shooter. So unfortunately and tragically for everyone, this is a terrible situation, but it's reminding me of the kind of stages around the Port Arthur massacre and the conversations that people are having online and social media and in other places, focusing on taking away people's freedoms, including firearms and self-reliance type ways of living. And there's this discussion about sovereign citizens, and obviously that's a very broad term, which is potentially going to be used to disparage a whole range of people that the state, let's call it, believes are dissenting. So I just got a message there from Roland saying he's not far away. So we've got that unfortunate circumstance in Victoria probably going to escalate the divisions in the communities with law enforcement and these so-called sovereign citizens at loggerheads and with different opinions on things. And I think Roland's online now, so
yeah, sorry, matey.
It's all good, mate. Good to see you.
I apologize. I was on time, and then I was doing some paperwork, and I ended up cooking a couple of eggs, and there you have it. How are you going this morning?
Yeah, really good, really good. Sorry, I'm also not organised this morning. I was just apologising to you and whoever is listening because I was running late for this chat. So I've been running around. I was over in Surf Beach this morning. It's a beautiful day to be out and about, though, isn't it?
Correct. Indeed. It is lovely. Sorry, I'm just rolling a cigarette.
Yeah, it's all
Not
good.
promoting smoking, but it's nice organic tobacco for me for the day. Anyway,
Nice.
So yes, what a change since yesterday. It was 12 degrees max and freezing cold, and today is glorious, isn't it? It goes to show if you don't fuck with the weather, it gives you a lot of sunshine and satisfaction.
Yeah, well, maybe my naked sun dance the other day, trying to summon the sun has actually worked. Maybe statistically it'll work over time. You just got to wait.
Have you got a video of that?
Say again. Anyway, I should be more serious. I have danced around naked before, though, wishing for the sun. I didn't do it the other day, though.
Very good.
No, mate, I was just talking to myself again in the waiting room, and we don't need to rehash things, but I was talking to myself about this really unfortunate tragic situation that's happened in Victoria with the Porapunka shooter on the run, evading police tactical squads and things like that at the moment, and how, that's it's a terrible situation that's potentially going to be used by, politicians and media to escalate or strengthen laws on gun rights and other things. So, that they'll jump on this sort of thing. And it's kind of reminding me of the Port Arthur kind of discourse. So I was just pondering that for a minute. But how's your week been, mate? I see you've been back in training.
Yes, I haven't been boxing for 6.5 years. So first I'm back in training, then I left the mark or two, but I enjoyed every moment of it, and it's something where boxing was always my love of sport, and it just gives you a different experience. If you compare it to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's a completely different train of methods, and training itself, it's just which I enjoy.
Yes.
But because, as you know, I moved places and workplace and life a bit south. I'm just trying to find new tribes, and I'm going to catch up with some guys who do BJJ in some people's garage. So I'm
nice.
trying to set up that next. So I want to do both if I can. Probably gonna miss Thursdays, which is sparring. I'm gonna change it to maybe Wednesday or Friday for a while.
Yep, nice.
Yeah, because I literally went on Friday and signed all the documents for my new job, which is commenced on Monday, on the 1st, tomorrow.
Beautiful.
And
Congratulations.
I had to face, thank you, had to face my operation manager with the bruised nose and the black eye. But he was really understanding. He said his first store manager interview was the same. He used to ride mountain bikes, quite extreme, and he had a stack, and his face was completely in disproportion. He had his stitches in his nose and his chin and whatnot, and black eye, and he looked like he was just in the brawl on the weekend. But here we go.
Yeah, there you go. And he's getting a 2-for-1 deal with you. He's getting a great worker on the floor manager, and he's also getting one of the best security guards you can get in Australia.
Very, very kind. Well, hopefully we don't need that part, but yes, I'm excited. A little bit nervous. Having new things gives you a little bit of what you expect and what you hope for. And you want to marry the two.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, but it's exciting. It's new. Everything is new. So I've been on holiday for the past 3 weeks. It's gonna be strange to, do the
The
chores again.
routine. Yeah. Mate,
So,
I'm
sorry.
sure you're going to kill it. What were you going to say? What were you going to say?
No, about that shooting, and you know what? My question would be, what's standard police procedure if you have a warrant or whatever, search warrant to search someone's home with the knowledge that they hold firearms? I'm pretty sure you have a different technique. You don't just barge in someone's home and expecting to be all hunky dory. You catch them before they enter the home, or the way on the home, or different circumstances. So it's deliberately provoked, in my opinion.
Yep.
It's a provoked situation when you actually create a problem, and they're going to offer you the solution in the Gaelic dialect, and obviously it's going to serve an agenda which they obviously want to bring in even further to restrict people to be able to protect themselves.
Yeah, look, I think I'll be really interested to hear the inquest into the deaths of these police officers over time, and understand what their reasoning was, and why they decided to execute the warrant in the way they did. And we'll only find that out years down the track from now, if at all. But I call it creating the jeopardy. So that's the word, I think those sort of words are used in common law a bit, but essentially, if you're going into a situation knowing that you're going to escalate it, then you're the one at fault for that. So the whole point of civilian policing is to de-escalate situations. So
Exactly.
I'll be really interested to see the outcomes of the inquest. It's kind of like, someone that may be attempting to commit suicide with a firearm, and they're saying to the police who are waiting outside, "Don't come in or I'll blow my head off." And the police go in and they raise the firearm to blow their head off, and one of two things happens: the police shoot him anyway, or he blows his own head off. Either way, they created the jeopardy of that situation. So, yeah, so I'm sickened by this. It's tragic, and I think it'll be in our public discourse for quite a while in Australia, especially as the usual suspects move to enforce more regulations and create more legislation around it.
Exactly.
But
And it is just only
that's
this one.
sad, mate. And I guess we can, run commentary on it as we out there. So, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
I just lost you.
On a lighter note, if we can call it that, you and I have been talking offline about a whole range of things this week. It's been great, and thanks for some of those videos and bits and pieces. I really liked the one that had the good old Australian tradie to begin with, kind of talking about government regulation and how he can't get anything done, and then it's the video transition into an older guy talking about Noah, and how Noah was a modern day person existing somewhere in regional Queensland, and God had come to him and said, you need to build an ark. And this guy, very funny, just basically gives the rundown on why he couldn't build the ark, because the local council got involved, and so did the EPA, and he didn't get the permits required. So mankind was destined to collapse, and God gave up. Okay, I think we've fixed up the internet issues. How are you going there? Is it clear for you?
Yeah, good. I just changed location too. I came out to the sun.
Ah, nice. Okay, let me. That's a nice backdrop, mate. Let me just get my camera going again. All right, there we go.
Nice.
So we were talking about the old proverbial Noah not being able to get anything past the local council. So the good news is no one's telling us we're about to be flooded by a tsunami for 7 days and 7 nights at this stage. So that's a good thing. But maybe the floods, the information flood that we're a bit worried about. So I wonder whether what a modern day Noah would create to weather out the storm.
Very good question. So I think Noah's Ark has been conceptualized in different ways of how what it is. And so basically you want to preserve humanity and all the resources where it's needed for survival of humanity and creation. And we know that the pure reason behind this is because of the contamination of human genome. Scripture says that the angels that were left the place came down to earth and made it with earthly women, and from that on, the offsprings were a mixed race of giants, and those giants and mighty men, they call it in the scripture. They were basically the titans and demigods that were worshipped for thousands and thousands of years, and they survived with Noah taking up uh, his three sons, but those three sons had three wives, and those three wives are taken from tribes, but they already been mixed. So as much Noah was a pure blood in that sense, and his wife and his sons, but the three wives were already compromised in that sense. Hence, that we have giants after the flood, which a lot of people dismiss as myth. We know a lot of evidence showing, and I've got a book called American Giants, which goes through about more than 1,000 articles which are published in newspapers of these archaeological finds, which is really interesting because that gives us a different picture of what reality supposed to be, or what's actual the history of mankind.
Yeah. I'll just jump in if that's all right for a moment.
Of course.
So this notion that there's giants, and I think recently there's been special forces. Maybe they weren't special forces. Maybe they were just Marines from the U.S. military in a place in Afghanistan, and they engaged with something in a cave that
Correct.
was said to kill 30 of these Marines, and a second platoon was sent in, and they did dispatch this thing. But there's a whistleblower that said he flew the helicopter that essentially transported this giant away from the cave system, where it, of course, could not be living alone, because you can't just have one of something. So that's a fascinating story, but maybe it just for other people, because this is the first time we've talked about giants, Roland, and
that's correct.
So I'm just keen to kind of set the table first. So there's also, as you've mentioned, there's a lot of theories out there that there's a place called the Smithsonian Institute that's essentially the cleaners. And
Correct. That's a good word.
So they're pretty good at what they do. And, these cleaning guys come in and they kind of disappear things that might relate to giants or even some sort of antediluvian civilization. And they hide it away in boxes. They study it for nefarious purposes, and maybe even are still involved in occult practice. So there's a whole background there to that we can unpack at some stage. I guess that's just to kind of set the table for giants, and because people will say, well, there's no proof. Of course, of course, they're going to hide this. If they've hidden it for so long, there's going to be no reason for them to release that sort of information now. Obviously, there's a narrative that they're trying to maintain.
And it's just for one more thing on. It's been plenty of videos you can find that people record these random events where, especially in Mexico, Arizona, when people actually videoing these massive figures on the top of the hill, and they actually see them in motion. And it's not just exist in Afghanistan or in the caves and hidden places, but they probably were the mountainous region, and places where they can actually live without detection. It's would be everywhere, I would think, in the world. There's so much we don't know, and underground tunnels and cities is constantly getting discovered.
Yes, and it's like some of these ancient cities, they're layer upon layer going back centuries, and there's even some discussion just in relation to giants while we're on that topic, that there are some structures in North America that predate the American Indians as we know them, and they're megalithic type structures, and there's also a speculation that the initial masons, that stonemasons and Freemasons, that essentially surveyed some of these very ancient sites in North America, established obviously churches on the top of significant mounds or edifices or megalithic structures. And those churches have stood, for many centuries. And then some of the cities, like Washington, D.C., there's that interesting concept that, there's some satanic or the misuse of geometrics and other things to induce forces in that particular area, the Pentagon and other things, that the actual whole city is laid out in that sort of structure, actually is also over the top of other megalithic structures that may have tunnels and systems that connect things under that city.
Correct.
Yeah. So,
and it's some of these areas. If you look at the big lakes, if you're studying the maps of prehistoric or even recent, a few hundred years, you see that in certain areas, like deliberately flooded and created dams or lakes where these artifacts are literally being found or can be found. You're right. Burial mounds are everywhere in North America, and they all depict the same thing. And we know the Grand Canyon is off limit. You can't go there and just walk around and take pictures and discover things, because you certainly get ushered out or even killed. So, and there's many of these places in the Earth. We had a little talk about this week on the North Pole and the magnetic north, and then what it could be, and why is it off limit. Antarctica is the same. So it's certainly might give you the feeling that it's more land that we know, more land that and we're not able to go, not allowed to go and discover. And so there's a lot of tentacles that they give us, sort of hints that there's so much we don't know. Basically.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. There, and this whole idea of antediluvian, so pre-flood high civilization, fascinates me, and I've got many books on my shelf about that particular subject. It fascinates me because the Great Flood is kind of synchronistic across most cultures and religions, that there was something that caused a great flood sort of at the beginning of time. It's very loose, but generally, from the flood waters emerged, man, and, we have gone on to into the world and propagated and developed the world. And this is where we are now. So the whole idea, though, that perhaps before the Great Flood, there was a fantastic time, something that we think is fantastic or, fictitious, maybe. There was a time where there were giants, there were technologies that we don't understand right now. There was an understanding of the cosmos and perhaps physics in ways that we don't understand. So, but most people can't get their head around it because there's no proof that it's all been cleaned up, right?
But it is, and it isn't. And you know that I think the buildings are the biggest proof, and a lot of well, I think it's multi-layered. Don't know if it discussed on or touched on. Sorry, different eras. I'm pretty sure the rise and fall of empires and actual civilization it's almost cyclical. And someone said that we are in a seventh cycle, which we are rebuilding our modern society. And it always shows that it's got hijacked and collapsed. We found buildings on the ground which are still standing. So not all of them on the ground, but a significant proportion are underground, and we don't find any historical notes on that. But we can find pictures, and we can connect the dots. If you anywhere in the world, really, you're going to see buildings. If you walk on the cities, on the streets, half of the windows are sort of poking out from the ground. And then if you enter those buildings, they got two-story basements, and you can see that the windows are being bricked up. You don't build, you don't create windows underground. It doesn't make sense. And so that deposits, whatever it deposited, this mud, it's literally cleaned up our society somehow, and some survived. And we got remnants of this, and we know the catacombs, like the Paris catacomb, they can consist millions of dead remains, skulls, bones. And they says, oh, well, we had to put them into the catacombs because we had nowhere to bury them. And you find them that these catacombs are exist in certain big cities. And they have, even under the Vatican, dead remains. Where are those people coming from? How did they die? You know, we don't have those information at hand, but we can only speculate that it's, again, a cover-up mission and a takeover. And we know that the Freemasons are the founders. Means they found these buildings. They didn't build it. They said it's founded in a certain age, and it's interestingly they build buildings in 1 year, which we won't be able to replicate today's technology. So again, it's just an interesting part of this idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, our modern technology is kind of preventing them from getting away with what they did before there was photography, or before there was the printing press. They were able to, whether it was, I'm not going to label, these different agencies, whether it's, something like the Church Vatican kind of cleanup crews, or whether it's the Smithsonian cleanup crews. I'm not going to label them as like literally the ones that are taking away the evidence, but I'm just saying groups like this have been kind of involved in these sort of activities. So you've got to kind of wonder about that. And I guess if that's the case, if they've been going and cleaning up the bones and bits and pieces, what do you think that their fear is? What do you believe that it's almost like an ontological shock that could hit civilization? In other words, potentially they're hiding information about extraterrestrial or interdimensional beings visiting us, as an example, and they believe that potentially the human psyche is not ready for that sort of information. Do you think that the cleanup crews are coming in and that information is being withheld because the powers that be don't think we're ready for it? Or do you think it's more about control? What do you think?
Correct. So it's power play. Less you know, the more you can be controlled. whoever holds the key has the exit. Sorry, has the power to release vital information. So I think first of all, to hiding these, just to say at the least, we know that the dragons are in every culture depicted, talked about. We even have writings or Saint George, the dragon killing saint, and all that. That changed after the 1900s when they labeled it. Oh, we found the fossil, and that we call it dinosaurs. So dinosaur as such that never existed. So you just change the narrative, you change the name, you rename it, and then you create a new postulates, which is have to align with the evolution, the Darwinist idea. And if you look deep, that's part of despiritualizing people, keep them in the materialistic existence where they don't think anything above and beyond what they eat, experience, and do on a daily basis, which is restrictive. Our potential is so dangerous for these people that if we are discovered that is more to it, it would be a quite big force to deal or reckon with. So humanity itself showed just by unity how powerful and what we can do and how can we getting things into motion. So, and we know that the elites and the people who actually thriving for power and hiding these information and truth, they all power hungry people. They want to keep their hegemony or hegemony, what do you say? How do you say? To be able to stay on the top. Now, you only can control people who are obedient. If you're a critical thinker, and we know that since the introduction of the Prussian teaching system or learning system, been introduced all over the world, is doing one thing and one thing only: conditioning. And we've been conditioned since our childhood. And today's society is based on productivity, taxation, and keep you in the cage without you knowing it.
Yeah, sure. I totally agree. And I think that you hit the nail on the head in that they are not fearful in terms of releasing the information because of the nature of the information. They're not. Really what it is that it exposes a lie, and
Yes.
it's doubling, they are doubling down on the lie. And this sort of stuff will require, kind of just like what they're doing with UFO disclosure. It would take a Senate committee. It would take people under oath. It would take whistleblowers essentially to come forward on cleanup programs that relate to this sort of stuff. And there might even be overlap between something like a UFO disclosure kind of hearing and maybe some of these esoteric types of mounds and other things where they say that UAPs tend to be seen more over these ancient megalithic sites as well. So there's like a potential that the UFO disclosure movement, if it gets any legs, could start to uncover some of or unpack some of these legacy cleanup programs.
Again, how easy is to do? You see, you release a truth, which is maybe 70% valid, and then you mix in a little bit of disinformation. The whole thing is putrid. It's dead. It's unusable. We know that the truth sets you free. If the truth would come out, that you would see action happening. All these hearings and people are saying things under oath. You could see that there's certain things they withheld. When they ask them certain questions, say, I cannot talk about it. And I said, well, you blow the whistle, you took the responsibility. Are you a plaintiff? Possibly. I think the people who speak out and they are televised and they're on the mainstream, they're all carrying the hidden agenda. The truth is not out there. You have to really search for it. You have to start with yourself, your community, and put two and two together. Follow the money, connect the dots, and try and live your life to the best of your ability, where you are detaching yourself from the system. And it's how hard is that at this stage? I think it's always the way. Uh, human, uh, we are amazing creatures, and we can find the ways to stay connected, to remain vigilant, and just to carry a grace about yourself that we are more than just numbers and meat in the grinder.
Yeah, I agree. We have to hold our heads high and hold on to our freedom and our agency with the coming, wave of regulations and control that will inevitably come. Those forces are in motion, and they are, going to be powerful. And as we've talked about in previous chats, it will only take one war and the freedom to talk on social media about whether or not we should or shouldn't be in that war will be gone, because the government rightly needs to maintain some level of stability, prevent people not following the narrative of the government, because it obviously sows division where the government allows that to just happen. So I can understand the dynamic, but these sort of chats are, a great time now that we can, share our ideas. And I guess one of the fundamental parts of what makes our nation or our current state great is this freedom. So anything less than this freedom starts to go into, a tyrannical style of governance, and that could include martial law or anything. But while the sun shines, we'll make hay, and that's all you can do. Sometimes the storm does come. So, I guess what we can do though is not be too anxious about it. If you direct that anxiety into productivity, then you'll feel better. Anyone would feel better about it. It's just where do you direct that energy, and that's the challenge for everyone. It might be going and having a swim down at the beach, or doing some boxing, or just making yourself better. It's kind of the key to it. But taking a step back, I don't think there's any hidden agendas anymore. I think the government of Australia and other Western nations have actually told us what's happening. It's just that people aren't listening. It's like this, we'd call it cognitive dissonance. I think people aren't listening to what they're saying. I mean, our Western nations are telling us that we must have unabated AI development. So in other words, cut loose, go into the arms race, develop the best one first, right? All of our companies are being told that in the Western Hemisphere, and there's no guardrails. And they're also telling us that we're about to hit peak energy. They're literally telling us this. They're saying that AI is about to use pretty much all of the electricity we use on a daily basis times 10, just the AI. And then we need our own energy for our own, domestic purposes and whatever. So they're telling us we're at peak energy. They're telling us that our currencies are collapsing, that by acknowledging that BRICS is a threat to them, those nations with the other. So they're telling us this. They're telling us that superpowers are rising. They're telling us that we need to sacrifice our freedom for what the state believes is the greater good. And it's happening all across the West. So one day, all of this is going to mean what it's culminating towards is that free thinking is going to equal dissent. That's the narrative that they're going to have, and it's coming soon. And so I guess people need to be aware of that moving into the future. I think there's going to be a big change in the technological realm that will probably divide communities, because I think there's going to be a stage. People can't see it yet, but it's not far away. It's kind of, they're going to openly say that your devices are surveilling you, and we're either going to have to accept that and just live without devices, or we go into that with our eyes wide open, knowing the freedom that we've just had taken away. I mean, I'm on a bit of a rant, but how many people would just put down their phone today if I said, everything is now surveilled, it's going to be used against you one day if it needs to be?
There you go. You talked about cognitive dissonance. The whole idea is introducing or actually telling us what's going to happen is to condition you and accept that it is what it is. If they do it without announcement or without feeding you the narrative through movies, Hollywood and news anchors, your reaction would be different, or our reaction would be different. We would be like, oh, hold on, what's going on? But because it's been drip fed, we lost our sensation of critical thinking. And it's actually the problem with this, that if we don't consent, if we stay silent, we literally give our consent to proceed.
Yes.
So if people are really would be less distracted, and that's what it is. Everybody's distracted with everything. Then they would go and say, hold on a minute, this is not good. We need to do something about it. What can we do? Sign the petition, blah, 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 go to the parliament. We know that even the ACT rally, which I was happily part of, and for the freedom of choice, people can reserve their rights to not being a guinea pig, showed no outcome. And unfortunately, that was the biggest rally I've seen, especially the ACT with Longshot. They squashed it. And what happened? Nothing really happened. Nothing really changed. Things get dragged out to the point where it's too late. Parliament comes together on the holiday period when people are trying to relax and not thinking about bullshit, to push through agendas and policies, which every step take away a little bit more of your freedom, and they allows them to come in, barge into your life and your family and your society and the people around you in your life and take over. It's great. It's unfortunate because, I won't say that I'm happy to live in a cageless jail, but at least I've got a little bit of freedom, and my spirit and my soul is intact, and I'm still governing that part of my life.
Yes.
But when we go to data, is the biggest commodity today's age. That data which is being surveilled and collected through electronic devices or consent. People are signed up for everything now. You can't even do your tax without, you need a fucking app on your phone which collects all your personal data. We give our fingerprints, our iris scan, face fucking identification bullshit. Sorry for my language, but
That's
what
right.
it is. So, and we willingly do that. Oh, but it's easier than using my card. So, but the card was apparently replaced with cash, so you don't have to carry cash now. You can't even, you can pay by just using your phone or having your phone in your pocket. And the next thing is going to be, and we know that this exists, people having chip in their hand and they pay with just showing their hand. And comes down to the Neuralink. and then it's gonna go, and we're gonna end up the cyborg wasteland, and we're hardly human anymore. And not to talk about virtual fucking reality. So in the end of the day, I think the main problem is that we've been fed with poison, we've been sprayed upon. Our waterways are toxic. Our fucking tap water is worse than soda. You know, so these are the things, as you said, shelter, food shelter, and what's the third?
I didn't get
Water, food, and
water.
shelter.
That's it. Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So, which I think are major um, uh, area we need to protect this to start with. Start
Yes.
small and build up from there. This is the only thing we can do. Sometimes the big establishment are impenetrable because people are not awake. We are our own prison guards.
Yeah.
They don't mind the gates. Our fellow mates, friends, family are brainwashed enough to hold the gates for them.
Yes.
So if they don't have these elements, if people are coming to realize that once and for all, our freedom is being completely abolished, and we just live in a utopian free society.
Yes. And they'll take care of everything. It's like, just pay us some tax and we'll look after all of your problems out there. Well, they're doing a terrible job. And, the
Yes.
litany that I talked about earlier of things they're telling us they're getting wrong. So, you
Yeah.
know, um, they're not upholding their end of the social contract, which means, and these are, they sound like strong words, but they're just, it's just the freedom of expression. But essentially, they've failed to uphold their end of the social contract. Does that mean that the state, whoever that entity is, or nation, if they haven't fulfilled their end of the social contract, how can they attack dissidents? Dissidents is naturally going to grow from a failed state. So how long does the failed state double down and tell the people that are dissident or disagreeable, and criminalize that type of thinking and all of that? How long does that go on for? And we're at unfortunately, this has been going on for a while, decades now, since, the COVIDs and other, even the wars that Australia's sent troops to fight in over the decades, whether it's, in Afghanistan or other places. There's been people that can see kind of into the future, and they see that these wars aren't justified and that we shouldn't be getting involved necessarily, but they're called a dissident, for expressing that opinion. And so we've all been programmed as a community, to listen to the media, as we've discussed before, and essentially toe the state line.
Yeah.
And it's just taken us further and further into chaos as a nation, because that's what they want. But as you said, what you can a way of kind of releasing yourself from some of those bonds and what seem like really existential challenges that one person or a small group of people can't affect. You can carry yourself around, as you said. You can carry your beliefs with you, and you can accept the open air prison that we live in as being a fairly good one, here on the south coast of New South Wales. And so you can appreciate the good aspects of things, and it gives you some peace. Ultimately, I don't think there's ever going to be a human that's truly living free. I think we are all bound to this prime material plane, and what we may see as an elite having, something more than us, they've sacrificed so much of their humanity to have it. They can't lay straight in bed at night. And I think even those that, you potentially look at and want their lives, if you had a day in it, you'd probably be running in the other direction.
Yes.
So, you may not even be able to trust family or friends when it comes to, those levels of luxury and resources and other things. People don't have real relationships. And that comes from many people I've met in that position. So look, let's call it reality. This reality that you and I are in on the South Coast is a pretty good one at the moment, and it's worth fighting for. By
Yes.
the way, we've grown up, or I've grown up in this country, but we've both lived within this country now,
Yeah.
enjoying the culmination of a couple of 100 years of really good um, uh, opportunity and development, so that the population has grown. We get to exist here. We get to thrive in it for a period of time. Other people aren't thriving, but as a general rule, it's a meritocratic community. You work hard
Mm.
out there, whether it's a cleaning job or whether it's a policeman or nurse or whatever it is. You go and work hard, and you can usually do all right, right? So
Yeah.
I like that idea, and I think it's worth taking that snapshot in time that we are getting a lot of things right, but what we're going to do is fall into the trap as a society in Australia of continuing to regulate things that don't need to be regulated, when really we should be winding back regulations and laws and legislation and making things less complex.
Correct. We know that these applications that they put in place, the restrictions and the red tapes is actually narrowing down the group who can participate.
Mm,
So if you don't have the relevant, required tickets, you pretty much you have to go and do something else.
yeah.
So yeah, you're right. The, some of the structure are being based on an old model. The only problem is that our taxpayers' money going overseas into the bankers, and they
Mm,
just print money instead of the country being in ownership. The stakeholders are in ownership in a
mm,
foreign country. So basically, Australia is owned by foreigners.
mm, mm,
And a setting is that those foreigners don't pay taxes for
mm,
Australia. And so again, it comes down to corporations, but the people who actually hold the stock, uh, they sort of happy, even if the country is going down here, people suffer. It's joblessness, struggle with maintaining lifestyles.
mm,
They benefit from that either. So
yeah.
benefit from crisis mostly, and we know that it comes down to the war has to be fed to be effective.
Yes. Yeah.
And
And
so, yeah,
yeah, it does. And like it, there's people with Trump derangement syndrome or whatever that is, and then there's Trump worshippers. But either way, um, they want to polarize you into one of the camps when you comment on U.S. politics. But I would say that the office of president, so the POTUS, is actually, so that office has failed over many different terms of leaders, whether it was the left or right. And I think that Trump is just the current example of uh, the reluctance to stop the war, because he keeps sending money, billions of dollars, and weapons into those war zones. So of course the outcome is going to be war, and his office, or historical presidents and now currently him they've had every opportunity to stop wars, and they don't want to stop wars. So I think, and it's clear that they're not going to. You just listen to them, and they're saying they're not going to stop wars. They're threatening to send troops everywhere. Venezuela now about to kick off with warships off its coast, and that's definitely going to drag other nations into it to protect waterways and oil and other things. So we're definitely being told. To me, I watch the news and I can't believe they're saying what they're saying now, because they're just saying what they're doing. And essentially, if the media or the sound bites that we get from the media now were played 5 years ago, pre-COVID, people would have thought that's fiction. Pre-COVID, all of the stuff that's going on in the news now would have seemed like a terrible Hollywood movie about the breakdown of civilization. And essentially, that's what we're going through. It's that terrible Hollywood movie that should have been released in 2019.
So true. And again, yes, it comes down to programming. 1984, George Orwell.
Well, yeah.
Um, yes, it's a little bit hopeless, but I think our thinking should be so much more positive. We know that we are creators or beings that can affect our reality, and positive thinking and positive affirmation is part of it. So we do have to just keep going and keep our thinking cap on, and make changes where, even if it's in the micro level, it should create a ripple effect and hopefully tidal wave to clear the junk of the earth.
Yes.
What I mean, which
Yes,
is
I
only
totally.
1% of the fucking population.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you know, this is a really nice way to kind of end the conversation. So that there is that structure that will resist anything, and it's the first layer of the matrix, let's call it, because each one becomes more complex as there's more influences from orbiting constellations, that some are threats and some are good, but the most basic structure will survive. Will protect the human spirit. And so that those basic structure is what we're going to catch up and have a meal over in about a month's time. And that's the food, water, shelter structure. And so if we can get that right, then, you can build on that geometrically and you get field effects. It's just like physics. There's interesting dynamics that start to occur, and people that are very suitable in terms of their geometric nature, into the connecting of the nesting of the cubes. So I think that the hope is that people do find alignment, that they learn how to manage themselves, because personal responsibility, if you can't look after yourself, then how can you possibly look after someone else? So you make your temple strong. You guard your spirit with food, water, and shelter, and then you survive the storm. And then the other layers of the matrix, the identity and the creativity, over time will take us to higher levels within that matrix, and dimensionally as well. So I'm excited about this next stage and catching up with you, mate. But I'm keen to also, we didn't get to talk about today, but maybe we'll talk about it next chat. The whole idea of what might be going on at the North and South Pole. And I think it's good for us to start kind of as the layman, and I'm gonna play the layman in this, because I know you've got some really good information to share, and knowledge of these sort of things. So I'm going to approach it as the layman, and I'm pretty sure we're going to have a pretty good chat about this, because I think there is actually a lot of crossover between where your thoughts are and what my thoughts are. And like we discussed on the phone the other day, I think what you and I might have is a thread each, and it's part of a tapestry. And we're both trying to work out, as we pull on threads, what does the tapestry look like? So I think we'll find it. I think we'll find out what it looks like with enough chats, mate.
Yeah, lovely. That's so good. It's very encouraging, and as I said, I appreciate your work. It is something where I didn't even think um, how effective is it or it could be. It keeps us active in the head and keep us thinking and keep us reaching out and share this information.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
hopefully the best we can do at the moment. And
Yeah,
so yeah, I'm all excited. I'm gonna prepare some more. I'm gonna do some notes for our next talk because I wanna reference some books if I can,
absolutely. Yeah,
and just give it more validity of our chats. And obviously, references are always helpful for that
yes,
reason. But general chats itself, it's just we want to stimulate people's brain to start fucking thinking.
yes,
Start to use your brain. What God gives you, if you don't use it, you lose it.
yes, yes,
So
absolutely.
yeah, and I think we're doing it well. We're doing a good job so far. I hope.
Yeah, it's what. Hey, mate, if it only works for you and me, then it's still a good day.
True. That's perfect. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well put.
Yeah,
Perfect. Put. Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
So, mate, you have a great afternoon on that note and enjoy that lovely sun. I'm going to run out and jump on a tractor, but yeah, great chat and
Thank
take
you.
care of yourself.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for calling.
All right,
Enjoy.
take care. All right,
See
see you,
ya.
brother. Bye.